So kids, if you'll give me just a moment, I need to say a couple things, and then I have a great story. I'll call you down, tell you this story. For the adults, is this not the oddest parable? In many ways, I mean, if you caught this story, there's a steward. He's like the property manager, if you will. He is a slave, most likely, but he's supposed to manage the master's property, and evidently he's skimming off the top, getting kickbacks. Who knows what he's doing? But it's not right, and he is found out, and he's going to get fired, and he knows it, and he hatches this bizarre scheme to try to help himself later. So he gets the master's debtors, and he gives them the chance to rewrite their notes, their debt notes, for less than what they actually owe. I guess the guy's thinking, well, one of two things. Either, hey, if I cut these guys all a break, they'll cut me a break when I, like, hey, can you give me a place to stay, or can you give me a little money? And also, assuming the debtors understood what the guy was doing, he could blackmail them because they are now part of his little scheme. And so it's just like there's no good guys in this story, which is just odd. And then there is this odd thing where the master commends this dishonest steward. And he says, hey, that was pretty good. Which does seem odd, doesn't it? And then the parable is all the more complicated by the fact that you get to the end, and it would appear that Jesus makes at least 4 different points out of this story. So here's what I'd like to do, rather than dig into all 4 of them, which would take way too long. I put one in the bulletin for you. This line where Jesus says, make friends for yourselves with dishonest wealth. I put that in the bulletin. It's on the front page. You can read it, maybe dig into that a little bit. I would like to spend just a little time with you and the children with what I think is maybe the more simple, straightforward message, and just about stewardship. This idea that, like this guy is in charge of his master's property. He's supposed to take care of it. You and I are in charge of the Lord's property. And in this case, this parable brings up, I think, less about money per se, but a lot about ability. Because that's what the master is doing here. He commends the steward on his cleverness. He's a clever guy to think up this little scheme. And so he's not commending the guy for his dishonesty. He's commending him because, hey, you're clever. And, and I guess the master is saying to him, I kind of wish you'd been that clever when you were dealing with my stuff, as opposed to using your cleverness to cheat me. And so with that in mind, could I get the children? Do you want to come down? I got a great story. Come on down. The adults don't believe it when I tell them this, but everybody's got abilities. The good Lord has given us things that we're good at, but a lot of people, they just think, well, like, I'm not good enough. I don't like singing. Most of you can all sing, right? Sure. See, they don't think they can sing somehow. And I don't know why that is, but most people really can sing, but somehow we don't think we can. But here is a story to sort of talk to you about, even you guys have some abilities. And the question is, can you use them for God? In this case, can you use them for someone else? So this is a story. It happens on Christmas Eve. You got to picture a 17-year-old boy. Now, his name's Joshua. And Joshua, you have to understand, Joshua is just one of these guys who's just really comfortable. Like he doesn't worry too much about what people think of him and stuff like that. Give me a second, okay? And so Josh is, he doesn't mind like doing maybe odd things. He doesn't worry about what people are going to say about him. And then there's Aidan. Aidan is about 5 years old, little guy, all right? So Joshua's ability is the fact that he's comfortable. Aidan's ability is that he can color. He's really good at it. And the two of them meet Christmas Eve. Josh is sitting there, and Aidan ends up sitting right in front of him. And when the priest, just like I did, asked the children to come up on Christmas Eve, Aidan doesn't want to come up. He's scared. And his mom can't go up with him because she's got a baby. And Aidan doesn't want to go up, and his mom's trying to get him to go up. And Joshua, not realizing that, oh, I can do this, he leans over and says to Aidan, hey, let's go up together. And Aidan looks back and sees them and like, okay. And so the two of them come up. And Josh sits down with all these little kids at Christmas Eve. He sits down with them and he listens to the little homily, and then he takes Aidan back. That was the gift that Joshua gave to Aidan with his ability. But later at the Mass, Aidan, of course, he does not pay a lot of attention. He keeps coloring. He's working on a manger scene. You remember a Christmas scene? And at the end of Mass, it's all done, and it's beautiful. And he gets his mother to help him, and they tear it out of the coloring book, and he gives it to Joshua, who went home and framed it because it was so meaningful to him that this little kid would give him this gift. Okay, give me a second. Okay, just wait. Okay? So there's two little talents. Just two small talents. Josh just being comfortable in his own skin, Aidan with his coloring. And they made Christmas Eve for each other. You have some talents, so I want you to use those for God. I want you to take care of them. Okay? See, anytime stewardship comes up, that's what happens. We think, oh, I don't have any abilities, or I don't have anything good enough to channel to the Lord. And I tell that story just to point out that, oh, no, we all got something. Yeah, it may not be world class. You and I don't sing probably like people, on screens that we watch. You and I don't speak as well as others. We don't write as well as others. That kind of stuff. I know that, but that doesn't mean you and I don't have abilities that have been given to us by God. It's a question of finding a way to use it. Mostly it's a question of being open. The thing I like most about that story is Joshua's reaction to seeing and hearing the conversation between his mother and the boy, and picking up that the little boy was scared. I think that's really the point, because Josh sees it. He's open to it. He's not just in his own world. He's not ignoring everybody. He's open, and he catches this fear in this boy's voice, and is able, in his small way, to fix it, to help. That's all I think the good Lord's asking us. He's given us something. He's given us abilities, small, big, whatever they are. He's only asking us to use them for other people, to use them for the kingdom.